Hey, so I just want to welcome everybody. This was an impromptu stream where I started a new franchise in Planet Zoo. Um, I wound up having some issues with OBS. I was downloading the videos as FLV instead of MP4, and I had to convert everything over. So I'm sorry, there is some tearing in there and some stuff that I really couldn't get any better, but this is my first time trying to go from a stream to a YouTube video. So we're gonna see how this goes. I stream a couple times a week, and I'm a variety streamer. I do a lot of different stuff. Planet Zoo is a game that I very much enjoy, but we're gonna hop in here and take a look at this time lapse. So we're just building up our entrance and our first enclosure in today's video. So really quickly, we're gonna try to build like an entrance sign, and you're gonna see I'm gonna go through like 3 or 4 stages. And if you're new to Planet Zoo, 3 or 4 stages is, it's nothing. You might go through a dozen stages of something before you really like something. And I'm not sure if I'm set on this final end result. I ended up liking it enough to move on. So um, if you see anything, notice anything that you'd like to see improved, um, let me know. Also, if you have any tips for recording or editing, let me know. Because like I said, I've been Twitch streaming for a while, but I'm very new to the whole YouTube thing. We wind up going with rocks here to build an arch, and you're gonna see the tools don't always work the best here in Planet Zoo, but we wind up getting something we like, and that's gonna be that arch. We end up moving these rocks here, but we're gonna build a sign based off these rocks, and I just like the naturalistic look. I think that looks so good on Planet Zoo. Here you're gonna see we're gonna use some of those 2 millimeter rope or 2 meter ropes, not 2 millimeter. Um, and we're just gonna put down some paneling. This is gonna serve as the backdrop for our sign, which we will frame as well. I'm not gonna spoil exactly what we get it as a first animal, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna use it as a thumbnail, so it might be spoiled already. There you can see some of the tearing. Unfortunately, it'll happen this first episode, and hopefully it'll be over after that. I will try to give you guys some building tips and tricks. You'll see I slide through objects quite frequently, and that's because if you have two objects that are stacked on top of each other, like those two bars are, because we needed to make a perfect length, they'll sometimes cause a little bit of glitching. And you'll notice that later I'm going to go back and fix that bottom one, because that bottom one ended up having the problem of tearing. And there you can see we did some brackets on the back with the ropes too, just to make it all look nice and clean. Unfortunately, you're not going to get to see all of my stone placement. And again, for episode 2, I'm going to work out these kinks, but we are going to build up like a nice little rock walkway. And it's going to help on the left side of covering up our staff areas. And on the right side, it's going to cover up kind of the back part of the first enclosure that we built that we don't want everybody looking at. There you can see me fixing that tearing problem. A lot of this game too is very, very tiny details. You're going to see that here. I'm placing in some mulch beds, and it's just a tiny little bit of rotation every now and again, just to make sure that you're getting as close to those pathways as possible. Because the end result looks 10 times better when you get in there and you make sure that it's just barely right. I don't think I leave that bed looking that way, but when we're covering it with plants, we shouldn't have to worry too much. And these things that I used to line the pathway, I must have tweaked them 5 or 6 times. I don't think I got all the tweaks on recording, but you'll see it in the final product. You'll see just a little bit of an angle that'll throw it off and make it look terrible. You don't want floating rocks, that's for sure. You wouldn't see them in a real zoo. But I think I go even lower than this. Just getting those tiny angles right. Yeah, we had another tear there, but here I'm just getting these planters filled in, and that was my goal with these mulch beds was to add some planters and add some mist to kind of make it look like we're misting the plants. Because a lot of these you wouldn't find in Spain, and if you didn't read the sign, that's where we base this. We base this around where I believe is Barcelona, in Spain. I I'm not a geography buff. I I couldn't tell you exactly every town in Spain, but I believe this is where Barcelona is. So it's kind of a neat place. I don't tend to build a lot of zoos in Europe. I am a American, so I tend to build them all in America. And I tend to do themes. Like a lot of I've done Midwest zoos, I've done, tropical Everglades zoos, but I'm really thinking I want a zoo where I can do a little bit of everything. So we are going to have species from every continent possible. Here we go. This is the second side that we are now lining. And you could say, why don't you just scooch the rocks up and don't even worry about decorating. Well, I'd rather have, a small planter over there. And just because it's uneven, it might irk some people, but I think this looks better. Because when you go to a zoo in real life, you never see even 100% even perfect zoos. They just don't exist. There's always going to be land, and every now and again you're digging something and you're going to find a big rock and it's going to be a pain in the ass, so they don't dig it. Here we're going to use some of these kapok trees. I love these. These give such a good jungle vibe. Unfortunately, these two on the right are eventually going to get cut right out because we're going to put our enclosure there. That tree that I had there, those are the like the African savanna trees, and we will get a chance to use those. I would like to build a safari this time around using the actual 4x4. I will say I think my biggest regret about this, and you'll see it later in the time lapse, is I placed down a vine that I think looks really good, and then I have to end up deleting it. So maybe I'll do something with that between episodes and put that vine back. That it's actually that vine on the right hand side that you can see now. Here you just got me thinking. I'm trying to plan out this walkway here. That square that we have towards the back there, that's all going to be for a information building. And I might put like a little food and drink vendor there as well. Probably with a walk around porch. Here you see I'm trying to get these paths in. And the annoying thing about these paths is I don't like how square they look. So I am going to try to do this. This is like a pathway thing that you can do. You can kind of, if you click in the corner of them, give them a little bit of angle, and then delete the path, you round them out and make them like a much more natural shape. I'm going to do the same thing on this side, but unfortunately I can't do the little angle. And so it winds up a little bit more square than I like. But again, later on we might come back and fix it. I want this zoo to be, you know, near perfect, at least in my mind. I like the very natural looking zoos. Here you can see I'm not able to get one that can click in there that I can delete. Once I do add it, it removes the whole thing and I have to click undo a few times. So it's just like Planet Coaster. This game can be super finicky. Like it's gonna let me do it on this side. So you see I got the nice round path there. But we're gonna shift these over. And I like the exposed roots, so I'm trying to keep those visible. And I know before anybody says anything, that's a date palm. Those are not found in grasslands. Those are like desert palm trees. But I think they fit. They look nice, so I'm not going to be too worried about biomes. I'm pretty sure if the zoo can keep all sorts of different species from all different places, they can keep a tree. I don't think it would kill them. Here again, we've got some more of me planning, just trying to figure out what I want to do from here. This is the best part of any Planet Zoo game is when you start it up and you just have a blank canvas to figure out what you want to do with it. Here I'll build off some extension paths, and I realized that this is a good spot to put my first staff path. Because I don't want it symmetrical or perfectly symmetrical on both sides, I don't want to put two enclosures on either side of the entrance. I think that would be, even though the paths aren't symmetrical, it would be a little too symmetrical for me. So I figured this is good as any place to put down our staff area. And I am going to round off these paths too, because like I said, I love how they look. It's kind of a silly thing. Uh, when you look at it like that, it's kind of silly that I would take the time to do this, but if you like how something looks, it's always worth the time to do it because you don't want to look at it, 5 or 6 hours into a build and go, oh, I can't stand the way that looks. I wish I had done it the other way. And this game is all about design and imagination. If you like the way something looks, go for it. Unfortunately, because we are a brand new franchise, we don't have the money to decorate these buildings yet, but we will come back to those and we will get those decorated so they're not just drywall. Here you can see I've realized that the first rock I placed in the entire zoo was a floating rock, and it was driving me insane. So I quickly find some rocks to fill in that space so it's no longer floating, and we're not going to have to change the height too much. It's always nice too, you can get super detailed. Just hit the X button whenever you're doing something like that. Hit the X button, get nice and detailed. And again, I don't like how this path turns out. Um, I deleted it and replaced it and kind of smoothed it, but before it was all jagged there. It didn't quite make sense. Here you can see I'm working on our signposts, and we will do our best to put signs all over the zoo, guiding people to different exhibits or enclosures or buildings. I plan on doing a big reptile house, um, or even like a big monkey house would be fun too. I love doing big monkey houses. We used the Arctic, I believe it was the Arctic um, sign signpost with Indian signs. In the dark here, the color matches close enough. I like the design of the Indian signs, but I don't like the signpost for them. And here you can see we're finally figuring out what we want to do. We wind up picking ourselves up a gold male and a normal female because I didn't have enough conservation credits. But these guys breed like rabbits, and they're worth a decent amount of conservation credits. So hopefully by the end of the series, we will be able to get things like West African lions and Western gorillas. There's me deleting that tree and that vine sticking out. I don't know why, but I really like that vine. So it was unfortunate that I had to delete it. And this enclosure, unfortunately, I had to redesign it. Um, there's there's some issue with the game. It doesn't like and people who have been playing the game for thousands of hours, they tend to be able to do it. But for some reason, I have such an issue with designing underwater viewing. There you can see I use that path trick again. And I was trying to make it so we could have an above ground and a underwater viewing space for the gharials that we had picked up. So here I go. I'm designing a place where I'm going to put glass, and I don't want the concrete barriers because again, I'm going for a naturalistic view or naturalistic look. So here you can see I'm going with that thick glass. And this stuff is normally great for blocking water. it'll have no problem. I think my issue comes in with the with that those stones over there. I don't think they count as waterproof. So unfortunately, we're not able to do exactly what I want with them. But the end result still looks really nice, I think. Is there you can see. I raised the water and I can't quite get anywhere where I can put down the water there. So I wind up deleting those barriers and I said, you know what? I'm going to change up this design a little bit. And at the end of the day, it comes out super good anyways. I wind up doing these custom glass. Um, oh, and we had a little jump there. Here you can see we finally got the water in a place where we like it. And those stones, I ended up deleting all that terrain back there, and I'm going to go for flat stones along the back. And eventually I want to swap these out and get a little bit of variation in there, but you can see in the bottom left, we are draining our funds. We're going a little ham here. There you can see, I did have one of those custom walls that I've built, and I really like the custom walls that you can do in this game. Here we're trying to go for another sort of secondary viewing platform. And the terrain can be so wonky when it comes to paths. So I had to uh, do a little finicky work here, but we wind up getting a bridge, which I like. I like the look of this bridge. Um, and you can see there is a little bit of wonkiness in the pathing system here, but here I'm going to get my staff path wrapped around. Unfortunately, paths can't cross over each other. It's an issue with the coding, I think. I think paths should be able to go one on top of the other. Here you can see we've got our staff path and gate for the exhibit, or for the habitat. We've got that all worked out. We've got it covered up with stone so it looks nice. And we're just wrapping some of these null barriers. So if you don't know, you don't have to use these barriers, the ones that are supplied by the game. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. I tend to like to build custom barriers because I just think they look nicer. You get, your preference on every single one of them. And just because a piece looks like something doesn't mean you have to use it like that. Like there, I took like a 4 meter post made out of stone and I used it as just kind of like a corner block of stone. And be prepared to see a ton of that over the course of the series. Anytime I time lapse, you're gonna see me click like 80 different 80 different rocks till I find the one I like. Um, it's something that just kind of happens with Planet Zoo. It's all about finding the rock you like the most. Unfortunately, we did miss a little bit there. Just basically us getting some of these plants back um, and finishing off what's left of this Gharial enclosure. Though I will be having a little bit of slow down time, so it's not going to be a complete time lapse. You'll get some normal pace stuff here, but we're getting a good look, and I'm just tossing some plants in there. And you'll see I'm going to toss some more plants up here, just kind of make it look a little nicer. Don't forget, always click those VIP guests. They give you like 20 conservation credits. So you can see in the bottom left, we are running dangerously low and we need that water treatment center. Um, I think we should be slowing down here in just a second or two. But what I wind up doing is, uh, oh, here we are. You see I put down another tree on the left there. But I get our donation bins and our education boards in. And now I'm starting to get, and our food tray. I'm starting to get a little annoyed because I've realized I've made these 4 meter tall glass panes and they look horrendous. Well, how many times do you see a zoo put, you know, something that's like 16 feet tall or something like that? I don't know, meters. I'm an American. Unfortunately, we We aren't taught meter conversion, so uh, I think that's like 12 feet, probably not 16. It's probably like 12 feet, something like that, close to. Um, but you don't see 12-foot tall glass everywhere you go in a zoo. So I wind up dragging these down just so it's at like a height where kids can still see, but the adults are going to have ability to see over the glass. So I think that provides a little bit better viewing. And most importantly, I think it looks nice. And again, when it comes down to it, it's all about what you think looks nice. I could tell you dozens of tips and tricks I've learned from YouTubers, and sometimes I use them, and sometimes I go, I don't think that looks right here, and I don't. So again, don't design something just because somebody else says it looks good. Design it for what you like, and 90% of 99% of the time, you're going to be a better judge of your work than somebody you see on YouTube, you know? So you're going to be the one spending time in your zoo. Make sure you design it how you like it. Maybe you guys like the 12 feet tall glass. I don't particularly. I like these, and I'm going to sink these rocks too, which thank God I did because that glass being like a foot tall doesn't really make sense either. But there in the back, you can see our male gharial. I think I'll name it after either a Twitch follower or a subscriber on YouTube. Um, Anybody who leaves a comment, leave a comment. Tell me what you think I should name him. Um, he's a gold gharial. He's pretty solid. And any kids he has, we should be able to release to the wild for some conservation credits. Also, if you have any ideas on what you want to see built, as far as animals you want to see me build enclosures for, I'm always happy to. I think we're going to focus on Asia for the time being. Asia, South America are two sections that we're going to as far as species first. South America is to the left of our entrance, and to the right here we've got Asia. And in the upcoming episodes, we're going to try to trade to get a gold female so we can get more consistent gold babies and silver, and I think it's copper. My Hey, so this is post edit OG. I'm coming back in here just to give you guys a tour, just because I know that that recording had some slight issues. We're gonna press play here for our little walk around. Here you're gonna get a better look at what we've accomplished over that timeline. We've got our main sign here with the Spain Zoo. Again, I think I talked about it, but that's where we're based out of. And we've got our two misted planters here. As you travel down the path here, we've got our first sign, South America, Asia. You can see our exit and our eventual information. Um, that was this big square building I was talking about. To the left here, we've got this circle, which I plan on making like a smoking zone. And again, it's not required for the game, but I think if you're going for a zoo that's based in realism, this is something you would want to add. Um, Along with not putting stairs in for like disabled people. Just something that makes sense. Over here, we've got our staff area, which we showed off decently, but like I said, we were running a little low on funds here, and we still are. So we're going to focus on making some money in the next episode and decorating up these and finishing off our information in our smokers area. As we travel over here, you're going to see the final product. That's kind of goofy that we had those two benches there, but you can see our final project or product of our gharial enclosure, at least for the time being. Even we made some money there. You'll see we've got a path coming around, feeding into the back of this. We've got our little bridge here. Also, if you have like anything like this where they guess are super close to the animals, always put the do not feed signs. But here is our Gharial, who's currently named Samar, but we're going to be looking for a name for him. These are just super cool animals. I love crocodilians, so I think it worked perfectly that he was going to be our first animal put in. And we don't want to forget about our lady here, Advika. Not sure on that one, but alright. But I just wanted to say thank you to everybody for watching this episode 1. And stay tuned because episode 2 will be coming out tomorrow or the next day, which will be either Sunday evening or Monday morning, depending on when I can get it out. So thank you all for watching.